Today's daf is daf Lamed Daled, and the Gemara is asking a kasha on the Tosefta that was quoted on Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis. Afilu hizik achlochav balchov kadim. If, let's say, the hezek of the shor took place before the mazik borrowed money from a malva, and balchov kadim, the malva grabbed the shor in lieu of the loan that was outstanding, and he got there before the nizak could grab the shor. And we're saying now that even though the chov came first and the nezek came second, the nizak still has rights to take the shor and rip it out of the hands of the balchov, who went ahead and was tofis. Shmamino balchov mubur shekodam v'gava mashagava lo gava. Does it mean therefore that even though there's a din of kedima, but nevertheless lo gava? Lo, says Gemara, that's not at all what we mean. As a general rule, if the Balei Chovos Mu'ucharim went ahead and grabbed the Shibud before the Mukdamim, then Mashas also. For Shadi Hasa, but here it's different. Why? The Nizak has a special right to collect this shor. Why? The Amalei, the Nizak has a right to say to Balchov, Ilu Gabach Havi. If this shor was in your rishus at the time of the nezek, that let's say you collected it from the lova earlier, before the hezek took place, lo minoch havi govile, wouldn't I collect it from you? The high Torah the askin mi name is talamna. From the shor that's mazik the shor, we collect the tashlum nezek. So therefore, even in a case where the balchov was gover the shor after the nezek, the nizak could still take it out of his rishus. Now we have a brayso. Ton Rabbanan. Shor shovem asayim shenogach shor shovem asayim. We're going to probably need to chart this out. The Gemara has a number of different combinations and calculations. Okay. So it works like this. As a result of the negicha, the shor ha-nizak is worth 150 zuz. Why? Because the nezek was estimated at 50. And the original value of the shor nizak was 200. Now he suffers a loss of 50. The Omar al-Abamil Zuz. This is called Hishbiach Shor HaNizak. The Shor HaNizak went up in value. So the Mazik wants to say to the Nizak, you didn't lose anything, because your shor is now worth more than it was worth before the nezek. Before the nezek, it was only worth 200 zuz. Now it's worth 400 zuz. Now I'm going to assume here, but I'm not sure about this, that the shor nizak is still alive, despite the chavolah. Because otherwise it's just a carcass. How could it be going up in value? So there's a shortage of shvarim in the market. It's like diros here in Ramat Beit Shemesh. And everything, all the prices are sky high. So what's the Nizak's counter argument? He says, Ilmala hiziko haya omed al shmona zuz. If not for the hezek of 50 zuz, and if my shor would have been left alone, then it would have multiplied in value to 800 zuz. Why? Because it's worth 200 zuz before the hezek, and now it went up 400%. Is therefore it's halacha no sekishas hanezek. We're going to figure out at the moment of the hezek how much was the shor worth, and how much did it go down in value as a result of the hezek. it was worth 200, now it's worth 150, and that's what the mazik is going to pay 50, or to be more accurate, 25, because we're talking about a shor tam. Pachash. Now we have the opposite case. The shor and nizak, after Negicha, went down in value. There was a market flood of shvarim, and that reduced the price. And now it's okay. So let's say now, instead of selling at 200, which was its value before the hezek, it could sell for only 100, slash price, 50%. So what does he pay? Ki shas hamara b'din. He'll pay the value of the shar as it is today, at the time of the din. So now it's only worth 100. So if he's paying chatzi nezek, then he only pays 50. Let me just see if I got that right. Right, he only pays 50. So it's very interesting, because as the Gemara is going to analyze now, if it's hishbiach, then, just 1 second. Then it's kishas hanezek. But kichesh is kishas hamara b'din. So on the one hand, in the case of Ishbiach, we're working on behalf of the Nizah. No. Let's get that again. In the case of Ishbiach, we're working on behalf of the Mazik. So despite the Nizak's, no, we're working on behalf of the Nizak, despite the Mazik's argument that it went up in value, nevertheless, he has to pay the Hezek of Shas HaNezek. In the case of Kichesh, in the case of Ishbiach, we're working against the Mazik. And in the case of Kichesh Shas HaModa B'Din, is we're working against the Mazik. Is that correct? And the Mazik is going to have to pay. No. We're working against the Nizak. No, working against the Mazik. Why? Because now the Mazik is going to get. So we're working against the Nizak. So again, it's a stira minei ubei. In the case of Mashbiach, Kishas HaNezek, then we're working in favor of the Mazik. What are we saying in the case of Hishbiach? Working against the Mazik. Well, so Hishbiach, we're working against the Mazik. Okay, now in the case of Kichesh, so we're working now, Shas HaModa B'Din, we're working in favor of the Mazik. right? Because the mazik is going to pay less. Next, shibech hamazik. The shor of the mazik now goes up in price. And now it's worth 400 zuz. So the Nizak wants to say, wait a minute, I have shutfis in your shor mazik, and therefore I get 50% of the benefit of the appreciation and value of the mazik. We'll see later on it could come to a ridiculous situation where the Nizak is worth more after the hezek than he was before the hezek. We'll see. Okay, so that's called nosein lo kishas hanezek. So the Nizak is only going to collect the lower price. Kichesh, like the shor mazik went down in value, so it's only worth 100 zuz. Kishas hamora b'din. In other words, the mazik is allowed to say that you're a shutuf together with me in the shor from the time of the negicha, and therefore you also have to be mafsid the tashlumi nezek that's going to be established b'shas hamora b'din. Omar ma. The Gemara is now analyzing this price. Shavach hamazik. So we're going now on the sefer of the brisa. Right, the shor shel mazik went up in value. Is the mazik pays the nizak kishas hanezek. Right, so that's in favor of the mazik. The nizak has no right to say, well, wait a minute, I'm an owner of your shor, and therefore any appreciation of the value of the shor is split with me. I'm a partner. Mani, Rabbi Shmoli, Diomar, Balchovu, Vizuzehu, Demasikli. The Nizak doesn't own the Guf HaShor or the Mazik, but rather there's an outstanding Chov, and that was established at the time of the Nezek, and that's what the Baal HaShor Mazik owes to the Shor Nizak. It's an outstanding loan or debt. In fact, the Gemara Amos Seifa, there's an inconsistency here because Kachash, if the shor of the mazik now goes down in value after the negicha, then kishas hamora b'din, which again is a tremendous kula for the mazik, and the mazik is saying to the nizak, you're a shutuf, and it went down in value between negicha and hamora b'din, you're going to participate in that misery. Misery loves comfort. But that's a son of Rabbi Kiva, the Amar Shutfin Ninu. Right? Yuchla Hashem means they become Shutfin. Is Reisha, Rabbi Shmuel, the Sefer Rabbi Kiva, lo. Gemara says, Kula Rabbi Akiva. It means that according to Rabbi Kiva, the Nizak becomes a Shutaf with the Mazik and the Guf HaShor from the time of the Negicha, and therefore we understand the Sefer very well, that Hikchish HaShor, meaning that Nizak will be mafsid according to whatever chelik he gets in the shor. So now we got to go back to the Reisha of Ishbiach HaShor, and here we said the Nizak is not a shutaf. That the mazik fattened up his shor, and the reason why the shor went up in value is not because of market fluctuations or the availability of shvarim, but rather because of the pitum. The pitum was mashbiach the shor, and the mazik took money from his own bank account in order to be mafatim the shor. That belongs to him. The nizak doesn't have shutfis in that which that which the mazik is marviach in the shar as a result of his investment. So Gemara asks, I b'shepitmo ema reisha. How are we going to learn the reisha of this brisa? And what does it say in the reisha? Shavach. If the shor of the nizak went up in value after the negicha, the omar al arba me'osuz went up from 200 to 400, no saying low kishas hanezek. Right, the mazik is only going to pay according to the value of 200 as it was at the time of the nezek. So this is in favor of the nizak because the mazik wants to say to the nizak, hey, your shor went up in value. It's worth more than it was before the hezek. Why should I have to pay you damages? But the answer is kishas hezek. Now the isha pitno, if there was the nizak who fed his animal and therefore doubled in price, then tzrichel and meimer, it's pshita. Surely there's no claim of the mazik that the nizak, well, your shor went up in value. The nizak invested in the shor. Gemara answers, Omer Papa, Reisha mishkachas le bein de pitma pitume, bein de shvachim memela. The Reisha of this price is talking about hishpiach shoro shel nizak, whether it's through pitum or right, the nizak fattened the animal, the ox, or it's shvach memela, like let's say fluctuation in market conditions and it went up in value. And you ask me, so what's the chiddush? The heicha de shvacha de b'meila nosin lo kishas hanezek. Enochinami. If it was the nizak who fattened up his ox, then there's no chiddush. But the chiddush is that even if market conditions change and it had an appreciation in value, nevertheless the mazik will pay kishas hanezek, and he can't say to the nizak, hey, your animal is worth more than it was before the hezek. But seifa, in the case of hishbiach, what went up in value? The shor the mazik went up in value is then lo mishkachas le el kshepitmo. It means that the mazik fattened up his ox, and therefore the nizak can't claim he's a shutaf. He owns part of that shvach, of that increase, the increment. But if the shor was mashpiach me'atzmo, then the mazik could say, let's divide up the dmei shvach. You take half and I take half. Or you take 3/4 and I'll take the quarter. Now we go back to the brisa. Kichesh, now the shor the nizak goes down in value after the negicha, is kishas hamar b'din. So wait a minute. So it went down in value, and the mazik so again the shor the nizak went down in value, and the malva is going to take the loss. And the mazik is going to take the loss. What does it mean the mazik takes the loss? The mazik is going to pay not only chatzi nezek, but also to offset the loss in the value, market value of the nizak. So Gemara clarifies. If let's say the nizak overworked the cow or the ox until finally the ox became very weak, and that's why it went down in value. Lema lay, doesn't the mazik have a right to say the nizak at makchash v'anoya hivna? I have to pay you the value of the decrease. You caused the decrease. You overworked the animal. Amrav Ashi, the kochash machas hamaka, that the negicha continues to weaken the animal with the passage of time. The Amalei, Karna Desar Kvirle. The horn is another word that for horn, not the horn, what do you call it? All right, we'll call it the horn. I don't know if there's another word for it. Anyway, it's as if the horn of the Shar Mazik is like a thorn, it's stuck into the animal, and it continues to weaken the animal. Therefore, the Mazik has to pay that loss from Shas Negicha in its devaluation till Shas Hamorav. And that leads us to the Mishnah here on Daf Lamed Dal. Okay, it doesn't get any easier. Shor shenoga, shor shava masayim shenoga, shor shava masayim v'yenin aveli yofa klu. So l'chor, you would say this is a pretty straightforward case. Let the mazik pay 100 zuz. Chatzines. Rabbi Meir, al zen nemar. Let's analyze the psukim. Shmos chafal posuk lamed hey. Umachru es hashor achai v'chotzu es kaspa. So the shor achai is the shor of the mazik, and we're going to evaluate it. And the over two, meaning with the machzis of the domav, is equal to the shear of chatzi nezek, and that's what he's going to pay. Amalo Rabbi Yehuda, the chen aloch, I agree with you. I'm not arguing with you in din, and the mazik will pay 100 zuz. But I don't agree with the way you're reading the pasuk. Kiyamta, we can understand your reading of the pasuk of Umachres Ashor Achai V'Chotzu is kaspa by having over two, right? Having the value of the Shar-Chai, we will arrive at the conclusion that the Baal Shar Mazik has to pay 100 zuz. But for Yilon Kiyamta, let's look at the end of the pasuk. It says, "V'gam es hameis yechetzu." Now you just finished saying, Rabbi, that the mess, the nevel, is worth nothing. So what's yechetzu? The Eza. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda is going to now reinterpret the case of the pasuk. Zeh shor shavim masayim shenogach shor shavim masayim, but hanavela yofech hamishim zuz. So the dead carcass is worth 50 zuz. So the hezek is 150. Now, if the hezek is 150, we put it over 2, we have it, and the mazik will pay 75. Because the hefsek was 150, you pay chatzi nezek, that's 75. And on that case, the Torah says, shezed notel chatzi hachai v'chatzi ames, and v'zeno til chatzi achai v'chatzi ames. So if the chai is worth 200, and the nevel is worth 50, so chatzi ames would be 75. We learned in a Bryce. Shor Shavim Masayim. Shenogach Shor Shavim Masayim. And Aveli Yofa Chamishim Zuz. This was the case of Rabbi Yehuda. Zenotel Chatzia Chai, Zenotel V'Chatzia Mes, Zenotel Chatzia Chai, Chatzia Mes. They divvy up the value of the Shor Chai and also the value of the Nevela. That's exactly the case that the Torah was addressing. But Meir Omer, Ein Zeh Shor HaOmer Torah. It's not true that the Nizak is taking half of the Dmei Shor HaChai. The Dmei Shor HaChai is 200 and half is 100. But rather, since the Nizak is taking the Nevela for himself, which is worth 50, therefore the total Hezek was 150, of which he collects 75 zuz. So what does this mean that we're splitting the value of the live shor, of the shor mazik? Because if you did so, you'd come to the conclusion 100 zuz. Here we're talking about 75 zuz. Ella, but rather, shor shav masayim shenogel shor shav masayim in avei yofa klum al ze nemaru mochurus hashor achai v'chatzus kaspa. So he pays half the nezek, which, if the nevel is worth nothing, is 100 zuz, because the live animal was worth 200, now it's worth 0. Half of that nezek is 100. Elamani Makayim. Oh, but now comes Rabbi Yehuda's question, his objection to Rabbi Meir from the Pasuk. The Gam Esames Yechetzun. What does it mean we're splitting the dead animal? Chas. We're going to evaluate, we're going to estimate how much of the value of the shor as a result of its death is it worth. In other words, how much from its original value before the nezek compared to the value today. And once we arrive at a number, at a figure, then we divide it in two. And also keep in mind the tashlum is migufo shel chai. It's got to be from the guf of the maz. Now it seems to me that this might be reflecting the sheet of Rabbi Akiva. Let me just see. There's a note here. Okay, yes, here Pnei Yoshua. So Gemara has to find Michti Bein Rabbi Meir who Bein Rabbi Yehuda Hai Meir v'Yesum v'Chamisha Shakin. Bahai Meir v'Yesum v'Chamisha Shakin. So both according to Rabbi Meir, who holds that if the nevel is worth 50, the mazik doesn't get a portion of the dmei hanevela, but rather Nizak takes the nevel and mazik will pay him 75 zuz of the dmei asharchai. Or according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the mazik will split the damim of the nevela, and he will pay 100 zuz of the Dmei Achai. It means that the mazik is getting 125, and the nizak is also getting 125. So that works out either way, whether you hold like Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Yehuda is my benayim. So what are they arguing about? Omar Rava, Pchas Nevela Ika benayim. The nafkami is going to be when the nevela goes down in value from the time of the hezek until the time of Hamad B'din. Rabbi Meir sover pchas nevela de nizak havit. And Rabbi Yehuda sover pchas nevela de mazik havit. So let's start with Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the mazik is going to take half of the value of the nevela. So that means that the mazik is going to be mafsid. He's going to lose half of the devaluation of the value of the nevela from the time of the Negiv. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the mazik will pay 100 zuz. And the value of the nevela will be split between the mazik and the nizak. According to Rabbi Meir, on the other hand, whatever goes down in value, the depreciation of the nevela after the negicha is the loss of the nizak. The nizak will have to take the nevela. The mazik is going to pay 75 zuz from the Dmei Ashar Achai, whereas according to Rabbi Yehuda, we said he pays 100 zuz. Amalei Abaye says to Ravim, Cain, if that's the way you're logically analyzing Rabbi Yehuda, is Matzinu Rabbi Yehuda Tam Chaver Mimuad. You can have a scenario in which, L'Gabi Shar Muad, we learned back on Daf Yud Amid Beis that the nevela belongs to the nizak. And if the nevela now goes down in value after the negicha, then the nizak suffers the loss. So that means the mazik is always going to pay only the devaluation of the shara nizak as a result of the negicha, and at the time of the negicha. But in the case of shara tam, Rabbi Yehuda was saying that if the nevela goes down in value after the negicha, then both the mazik and the nizak are shutafim in that hefsei. They both equally are partners in the loss. Because the mazik is only going to add to chatzi nezek that it was b'shas misa chatzi midmei apchash shel nevela. And it comes out that the tam is going to pay more than a muad. And the Rashba gives us to us in numbers. And by the way, the Gemara says v'chitei machinami, and the Gemara is going to prove from a Mishnah later on that the tam could never pay more than the muad. Shor sheva masayim, shenogach shor sheva masayim, upchas hanevel mishas hamisa chamisha. So I guess what we're saying is that the nevela was worth 100 and it went down to 50. Then the nevela further depreciated another 100. So now it's worth 50. So it comes out that a muad is going to pay 50 zuz, because that's exactly how much it depreciated as a result of the misa. And the tam is going to pay an additional chatzi of pchas nevela between the negicha and shas hamad b'din, and that's going to be 75 zuz. So So it's amazing. The Shor Muad is going to pay 50 zuz, and the Shor Tam is going to pay 75 zuz. And the Gemara is going to prove that that's impossible. So here we are on the Tapal on the Dalet Omid Beis, and that's where we're going to stop.